are we going to be in trouble with
No.
the high school?
Nope, we have a new parking agreement where anyone can park anywhere they want. High school and city.
Yay! That's been it.
All right,
Thank heaven.
it is 4:30. Are we ready?
Yes,
Then
you're ready.
let us do a roll call before we officially begin this to make sure that we have a quorum. Marisa Bentley,
Yes.
Carl Cook,
I'm here.
excellent. Camille Jensen,
I'm here.
Barry Roberts,
I'm here.
Hasem Sakar. Okay, he'll be probably joining us. Ross Spencer.
Yo.
So that makes 6 of us with Mickey here. So we do have a quorum. So let us officially begin the February 17th, 2021 Orem City Planning Commission meeting. And we will ask Ross, did I ask you last time to do the invocation?
No.
Would,
Nope.
would you please?
I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
Our kind Father in heaven, we thank thee for the many blessings that we receive at thy hands. We're thankful to be met today. Thankful for this city where we live. Ask thee to bless Orem. Help us as we consider these matters today, that we'll be blessed and inspired. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ross. Well, I tell you, inspiration and good spirit about us is always a wonderful thing to have. Thank you. Let me read this following determination because we're still under the COVID-19 protocols from the state, and to minimize the potential spread of COVID-19, and as authorized by Utah Governor Gary Herbert's March 18th, 2020 executive order. Now, therefore, I, Mickey Cochran, as chairman of the Orem City Planning Commission, make the following determinations. Under current conditions, conducting an Orem City Planning Commission meeting with an anchor location presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location. This determination is based on the facts that 1, COVID-19 is a worldwide pandemic threatening the health and safety of the residents of Orem. 2, the state of Utah has determined that people should maintain social distancing of at least 6 feet to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. And 3, the city of Orem cannot maintain appropriate social distancing if Planning Commission members and or the public convene at the usual anchor location, the Orem City Council chambers. So thank you. This meeting may be viewed, for those of you who might be on here, at orem.org/meetings or on the Orem City's YouTube channel. Now, there is a short delay, and so after we have a discussion and we either open for the public hearing portion of any one of the items on the agenda that comes under the public hearing guidelines, or previous to making a motion, we will pause for a 90-second to allow for any electronic comments to come in. And those comments can be made at orem.org/comments. So, and also before we make any comments, we would ask that you state your name, and this applies to both applicants or any other participants, as well as the Planning Commission members. So if you'll state your name, make your comment, ask your question, whatever might be appropriate for that given time, thank you in advance. So I'm trying to think. I don't believe there's anything else that we need to do preliminarily. So we'll turn it over right now for the item 3.1 on our agenda for this evening.
All right, we'll get started.
And it is Jake Harding making the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, everyone can hear me, right? Wonderful. Okay, all right, we'll get started. Okay, so tonight's Planning Commission meeting, we have 3 items on the agenda. Our first one is the preliminary plat of Bonneville Court. This preliminary plat is located at 1230 North, 950 West. There was previously a church building there that had some damage to it. And now it is being subdivided into single-family homes. You can see there on the vicinity map, right next to Bonneville Elementary. Oh, there we go. There's our aerial image of the church building. And this is the proposed plat. You can see 9 lots here. Each of these lots meet the requirements of the R8 zone. Most of them, all of them, are much larger than the minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet. This is the final plat with the easements designated. And we recommend that this plat be approved. Be happy to answer any questions for you.
Let's turn it to the commission. You all know where this piece is, correct? Off of 12th North, if you've been by it. That actually used to be the building where our YSA ward met. So I'm quite familiar with that place. Just a comment that I have, and Skylar, are you on with us? Skylar Tolbert?
I'm here. Yep.
Skylar, I assume that this comes under the custom home division?
It will.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so these large lots accommodate the custom homes that Ivory likes to build on these places.
Yeah. In fact, about almost 1 year ago, in a month or two, we did Cascade Springs, you may remember.
Correct. Yeah.
This is very similar, and as it was already mentioned, rather than go with the R18 zoning and put a whole bunch more lots in here, we went the larger lots similar to Cascade, so it'll be very similar to that project. In fact, it's almost the same size and shape as it is, but these lots average just slightly bigger than over there. So we're excited about it. This will come out of our main catalog and our homes that you're referencing.
These lots are a little bit larger than the one you're doing over on what is it, 1100 or 1000 East? Yeah.
Cascade
About
Springs.
Fifth
They're
North.
slightly bigger.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing quite a few infill projects now. Is that correct?
We are. So when you find some more property, give me a call.
All right, Skylar. Great. To the commission, any of you have any comments or questions for Skylar? Skylar, do you have anything you would like to add to this at all, other than what's been done?
Nope. Staff report looks good, and it was explained just as it is.
Okay. When is your anticipated, if this is approved by us and the city council? Well, if we,
I don't think this has to go to city council.
yeah, it does not. You're right. If this is approved, when do you anticipate breaking ground?
As quickly as we can work with staff to get a pre-construction meeting and go.
Okay, that sounds great. So if there are no additional comments or questions from the commission itself, Mr. Tolbert has, of course, answered any questions and indicated that this is fine the way it's been presented by Jake. So let's turn it over to the commission for a motion. And any of you can make it.
I can do that.
Thank you, Carl.
I move that we approve the preliminary plat of Bonneville Court, Plat A, located generally at 1230 North, 950 West in the R8 zone.
Do we have a second?
This is
This
Ross.
is
I'll
Marisa.
second.
I'll second.
Okay, Ross got in first, Marisa. So Mr. Cook has made the motion. Mr. Spencer has seconded it. We'll do the roll call now.
Mickey?
Yes, sir.
Before you do the roll call vote, I do have a public comment on this, even though it's a public hearing.
Oh, please.
I will leave it up to you if you'd like me to read it or not.
No, I think if the public took the time to comment on a non-public hearing, then we would like to hear it.
This is from Craig and Linda Williams. They live here in Orem. Their comment reads, "This is in reference for Plat A at 1230 North, 950 West. We live right across the street on 950 West and want only homes to be built, no apartments. We built our home across the street from the church because we knew they would always keep the property well maintained. Our main concern is that so many children walk through that lot to school. Can a small walkway be provided by the builder along the residences on the north side of the land so the children can have a safe way to walk to school? Only needs to be about 6 feet wide with a fence on the south side of the walkway. I know many parents want that walkway to ensure safety for the children. There's an opening on the east side of the lot in the northeast corner that connects to the school property. Wouldn't take much for the builder to provide that walkway. And that's the end of that comment.
Scott, I thought I saw something in the preliminary plat showing that there would be a walkway or some kind of a contact point into the elementary school. Skylar, can you address that?
Yeah, let me just scroll through my plans real fast. We've also got Roger on. I don't think we showed anything.
No.
That
Oh.
becomes a
No.
little bit hard. I'd like to address it. However, it becomes a little bit hard as far as who owns it, who maintains it, who keeps it up. It's a hard thing, you know, you've got, and then it becomes kind of a complaint of neighbors of who's hanging out back there at night and things like that. You're talking 200, almost 400 feet of a trail from 950 West into the backyard. So although I'd love to accommodate, I don't think it makes sense in this scenario. You know, there is improved sidewalk on both sides of the subdivision,
Correct.
which I think, you know, the kids can use.
I might say something as well, Mr. Chairman. I think in the past, we've looked into these kinds of things. The other issue is one of liability. I know often the church is asked to provide access through their properties, and I think they've concluded that it's a liability issue for them. I live in a neighborhood where we have such a walkway, and it's always a little bit concerning with the small children and others walking through there, especially at night or early morning. There is some liability issues there that probably it's not a good idea. I understand that would be convenient, but there are some liability things there that would need to be considered. Yeah.
And it does seem that there are sufficient walkways on the property itself or in front of the residences with the new sidewalks. I mean, it's 6 is as far as to distance
Right.
to walk to school. So we have made the motion as to approve the preliminary plat. We've had a second as it exists currently. And we'll go now to the roll call vote of the Planning Commission. Marisa,
Aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Camille,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Haysom,
Aye.
Haysom. Okay, he's not with us then. Ross
Aye.
and Mickey, aye. So for those that are here, we have the unanimous. We'll go on to item 3.2, please.
Mr. Chair, can
Yes.
I ask one quick question, maybe to Jake? Did you say this does need to go to city council next week, or this is it?
No.
No, that doesn't need to go to city council.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Skylar. So item 3.2.
Yep, coming right up. Okay, item 3.2 is a site plan for Davidson Defense. This site plan, my mistake there on that slide. This site plan is located near the Public Works office on 400 North on the west side of the freeway, as shown there in the vicinity map. This is a close-up. The applicant came to the city and wanted to know if it would be possible to expand his business there. And we worked with him, and we believe we have something that will be up to the M2 zoning code. He's proposing an addition on the south side of that property that's 11,000 square feet. This addition, so the existing building's going to stay. We're just adding an addition here. This is the landscaping plan you can see here, adding all these shrubs here and maintaining the existing landscaping in the park strip. He's also matching the existing building in his elevations. There's going to be 2 stories to this. What we're looking at now is the main floor when you come in. It's mostly going to be used as a warehouse. There's a few spaces in that. That'll be the southwest corner of the building that have a few offices there. There's a second story as well, and they're going to have a mezzanine storage above those offices. And other than that, it's going to be an open warehouse in this addition area. This is an existing Google Street View of the building. So you can imagine it there just extending a little bit more to the right of your screen. We recommend that this be approved. Happy to answer any questions.
Back to the commission then. Are there any questions? I believe that, is Brian Russell or David Penrod, or both of you on? The applicant? Roger, are you representing the applicant?
I am. Yeah, I could answer questions.
Okay.
This is Brian Russell. I'm on too.
Oh, great, Brian. Is there anything you would like to add to this?
No, it's pretty straightforward. This site was always, I think, anticipated to have a phase 2. And this, in essence, is that phase 2. So we've just matched pretty much all the elements that are there and just grown it to the south. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
This is Ross. A lot of parking is going away from the addition. I assume the parking situation is still okay. There's enough parking there.
Yes, they had a lot of extra parking previous to this. And I think they're still going to have extra parking on top of this addition.
Anything else from the commission? Okay, then, if I might, can you put that screen back up on the motion? There we go. Oh, I can't see it. Let me blow up my other side here. I'll make the motion on this. Oh, come on.
I think that's, Mickey, I think
I
that's
think
the wrong
that's
motion.
incorrect.
Pardon?
I believe that's incorrect.
Yeah.
The motion should say to approve the site plan of Davidson Defense located at.
476 North, 1500 West in the M2
Yeah,
zone.
I'll go over
I've
here.
got the,
You've got the staff report? Perfect.
I've
That's
got the full thing. So yeah. Okay. So I move that the Planning Commission approve the site plan of Davidson Defense located at 476 North, 1500 West in the M2 zone. Do we have a second?
This is
Barry.
Marisa. I'll second.
Barry or Marisa got in first, Barry. So Marisa has provided the second. Now for the vote from the commission. Marisa,
Aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Camille,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Ross. Okay.
Aye.
And Mickey, aye. Thank you. We have the unanimous approval of the Planning Commission. We now go to item 3.3.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Bren. Thanks, Roger.
Right. Item 3.3 is a text amendment proposed by the city. We're proposing to amend a few portions of the State Street corridor zoning code, which is different from the districts. This is found in our C2 zoning code, and it applies to all of State Street. Matt Taylor, one of our fellow staff members, is going to present on this. Give me a second, Matt, and I will get sharing privileges over to you. Oh, Jason already got them to you, so you should be good to go. You are on. There you
Pleasure
go.
to be with you. All right, let me just start sharing some screens and we'll get started.
You guys look good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't say you, Matt, but yeah,
No.
you do. No, you do.
I'm the new kid on the block. You can take your shots at me. All right.
Okay. We will.
Let's see. Make sure I minimize that. present. All right. As Jake said, we're proposing some amendments to our state street design standards. The first, well, let me walk you through what we want to accomplish in this presentation. Is we're going to describe some of the issues as we see them. We're going to describe some of our goals, which we're requiring the outcomes we want to produce, and then we'll lay out the proposal of how we address those outcomes, and then we'll turn it to you for discussion. Some of the issues that we are seeing is one, and this is a relevant issue with an existing property owner and may apply to other property owners in the future, is that owners that wish to expand their existing buildings that lie within buffered sidewalk areas. And we'll do a recap in just a minute on what buffered sidewalk area means. I'm sure you're familiar with it, and so the question is, how do we help property owners expand with these current requirements? You're familiar with the districts and the increased design standards that the districts have. We would like to address some basic design guidelines for the remainder of the corridor, generally in the C2 zone between the districts. They aren't to the same level of regulation, but do seek to tie in some basic principles, which we'll go over, of urban design and pedestrian corridors. And then finally, how do we address, trigger happy, utility appurtenances, boxes, poles, other things that are a distraction from the aesthetic goals of the corridor. So a reminder on State Street buffered sidewalk requirements. All new development along State Street is required to install an 8-foot sidewalk 15 feet behind the existing curb. That 15 feet between the sidewalk and the curb is required to be a landscape planter strip with trees every 40 feet. Now, Ryan pointed out that my trees are really supposed to be a little to the right of center here in order to avoid future expansion of State Street, that those trees would remain and not be torn down or too close to a future expansion.
Well, it depends on what direction you're going, whether they're to the
Correct.
right or to the left.
That's correct. But
Yes.
as this is illustrated.
Yes.
Yes. Now, when under the current regulation, when a property owner seeks expansion of an existing building, the buildings within the buffered sidewalk area are currently required to remove the portion of the building in conflict with the standard. So for example, and this does not represent any real situation, it's just a illustration. Say this building was in this buffered sidewalk zone, which would be about 23 feet back from the curb. If they wanted to add on to this building, the current code would require them to tear this portion of the building down. And of course, we know that that's easier said than done. That may structurally make the building very difficult to rehab at that point. Now also, property owners may not be interested in redeveloping or tearing down at this time. And so how do we help them be successful and expand an existing building without compromising our long-range goals for the corridor? We did a inventory. Again, I want to thank Talia from our intern in the planning division for help in inventorying these properties. Originally, I had cataloged 53, but re-looking at the data, actually 48 properties. That's a side comment for Jason because he pointed that out to me. 48 properties seem to be within this buffer, have all of their building or a portion of their building within this buffered sidewalk area. Now, we didn't go and tape measure every one of these. This is an estimate based off aerial photography. But you can see in this graphic where section A is actually in the buffered sidewalk area, but the rest of the building is not. So we just measure the yellow portions of buildings within State Street. It's about 3.5% of the total State Street frontage. So assuming, and we'll show you the proposal in a minute, if every property owner took advantage of what we're going to propose, it wouldn't constitute even 5% of the frontage of State Street. Fairly minor in the big scheme of things. Probably even more minor in that we don't anticipate all these properties take advantage of this provision that we're putting forward. If you interested in any of your materials, is our inventory and maps of the inventory. I'm not going to go through this in detail. What we want to try to do and the outcomes we want to achieve is allow these property owners the ability to improve an existing building without resorting to demolition to comply with the standard. We also, as mentioned, want to address these design requirements and improve the aesthetics from utility intrusions in the park strip area. So let me walk through the proposal. I'm not going to read the language that's in red for each of these. They're there for reference, but all the language is in your packet. And I will just summarize the goal of the language. Buffered sidewalk modifications allowed for non-conforming properties wishing to expand. So what we're proposing is the buffered sidewalk can be reduced to a certain degree, provided certain rules are followed. And let's talk about the several outcomes that could come from this exception. I don't want to say exception, modification. One applies to the bulk of most of the properties. That's if a property is within 13 feet or more, up to 23 feet of an existing curb. In every case we propose, we're going to propose they still install or upgrade the 8-foot sidewalk. The remainder of the space could vary based upon the situation they're building, from 5 to 15 foot landscape buffer, and still would be required to have trees. In this case, what I've illustrated is sort of the far end of that option at 5-foot landscape buffer, but it could be greater. And again, this would only apply to the portion of the building there that is in non-compliance with the standard, not the whole building. Another outcome could be is if the building is within 13 to 10 feet of the existing curb. Again, we require an 8-foot sidewalk. At this point, because landscaping becomes hard to maintain under 5 feet, and we would allow as an option 2 to 5 feet of stamped concrete or pavers. A good example of this, and also allowing the tree grates and required trees to project into that sidewalk up to 2 feet. I'm going to skip out of this presentation quickly. And a good example of what this might look like is what we have had done on University Parkway with stamped concrete and those tree grates, as you can see, portion of which is in the sidewalk, but not projecting into a clear path for ADA access or pedestrians. And of course, that's at grade, so they could travel over that anyways. Coming back to the presentation, an extreme scenario, which may only apply to just a handful of properties, 2, maybe 3 or 4 if we haven't accurately measured everything on aerial photography, is if there's less than 10 feet between the building and the sidewalk. Again, we would want them to upgrade the 8-foot sidewalk, but we would allow the remainder of that park strip to be in concrete or pavers, stamped concrete or pavers, with allowing an exception for no trees in this case. Now, what we don't want to have is any increase in the degree of nonconformity. If a building was to take advantage of this, they could only expand outside of the buffered sidewalk zone, not within it. So any addition above or to the front portion of the building encroaching in that area would not be allowed to expand. So we also want these modifications to transition to the full standard as quickly as possible. And so there's just clarity in the language here that says they should transition within 25 feet to the normal standard. This graphic on the left does not represent any real situation. It's just a typical of different scenarios compressed together. seeing how the different standards could apply. I did mock up a portion on South State Street where we have some extreme examples of buildings close to the sidewalk area. These are buildings that I actually anticipate probably redeveloped before they actually expanded, but you never can predict the future. So this is what it might look like if you took advantage of the standards, the modifications, and the transition requirements. This graphic is oriented. The left side would be north, so
Right.
up is not north on this. Before I move on, any questions on the buffered sidewalk provisions? Modifications? Okay.
I think it was clear, Matt. So,
Okay, very good.
yeah.
Other design standards that we'd like to put forward, and in general, there's a catch-all provision saying that these standards apply to the whole corridor. However, if there's a more restrictive standard elsewhere in the code, that would apply. The reason that language is there is so that the more strict provisions in the district would override anything that we're putting forward here. We added some language for the general corridor, which mimics the districts to some degree, in requiring that buildings have at least one public access facing State Street, but additionally that buildings designed for multiple tenants, each of those would have access on Space Street. This supports the goals for the corridor as transit and pedestrian oriented in the future. We also require would propose to require any large buildings such as the City Target in Seattle, which I've been to. It's pretty cool to actually have more than one entrance over 300 feet of frontage, like you typically would with any grocery store. Well, a lot of grocery stores and department stores, such as the Super Target in Orem. We add a provision, this is a sort of a new provision, saying that buildings need a habitable depth from State Street, some type of gross leasable area within 30 feet of State Street corridor. The purpose is to avoid situations of storage, parking garages, other uninviting or unpedestrian friendly building spaces to occupy valuable street frontage. This is similar to districts requirements, but a lesser standard. And the districts require 60% of the main floor to have completely visible, transparent window coverage. We would propose 40% for the remainder of the corridor. Additionally, that the windows are vertical and square in proportion. This is an urban design principle, helping buildings look alive and inviting to the public. This provision is the same as the districts, just that buildings have some type of articulation, that are not long, blank, flat walls. For every 50 foot of building facade, there'd be a foot of vertical break in the building. This is a newer provision where it just clarifies the appropriate weighting of material on a structure. That concrete supports brick, and concrete and brick supports lighter materials like stucco or siding. With modern building technologies, you can see some weird things that just seem off if you reverse that order. Required materials is very similar in language to the districts, but it's a lesser standard in that any street facing facades would be required 60% of what we call tier 1 materials. That's I think 80% in the districts, and that we would allow 25% of tier 1 materials required on non-street facing facades, unlike the districts, which require that higher standard on all building sides. The last proposal is that any utility enclosures within 15 feet of the curb or back of sidewalk, are enclosed or buried. And we have some standards describing how they are to be. The screening or fence must be architecturally compatible with the materials of the building. Chain link and slats are not allowed. And that pretty much wraps it up. We went to the council for a preview last week with them. And then we are anticipating tentatively, if you make a recommendation tonight, to bring it back to them on March 9th. And any questions or discussion?
Council, questions?
What do the business owners on State Street think about this?
We've had one business owner that we've been working with and that would like to expand. We see this primarily, especially the buffered sidewalk modifications, primarily benefiting them. He's been unable to do what he wants to do and expand his existing building because the current code and requiring that buffered sidewalk provision where his existing building is. We have not had direct feedback from other property owners at this point, so I can't quite say that. I'll give you an answer on that.
But you're making it easier for them to expand, right?
Primarily, yes.
Getting them out from the way it's written now.
That is correct. And then most of these other standards would apply with a major remodel or a redevelopment of the property. So it's nothing we would impose upon them, just when they come forward for a new project.
Okay.
Anything else from the commission? It's Matt, it really is quite straightforward. It makes a great deal of sense for those existing properties that are currently encroaching on the new standards. 48, you say, 48 of the buildings.
Give or take. Again, these were measured from aerial photography.
Mm-hmm. But the 8-foot sidewalk will be literally a cast in stone provision in there.
Correct.
And there'll be no remodification as far as a higher building within the buffer zone. If they wanted to add another story, they have to back it off to the 23 feet that are currently the ordinance.
That's correct.
As I said, it made complete sense. Even I understood it.
Well, thank you.
Uh-huh. So if there's nothing else from the commission members, this is a public hearing. So we will, if you can start the timer right now, pause the 90 seconds, or we can continue speaking during the 90 seconds as we're waiting for the public to make any comments at orem.org/comments. Thank you. Ryan, did we receive any public input on this previous to tonight's commission meeting?
We have not received any public comment up to this point.
Okay, so we'll do the 90 minutes. If anybody would like to regale us with a story or so during the hopefully remaining 60 seconds of our time period. Ooh, I was pretty close.
Thirty seconds left.
Sounds like we got it. Time's up.
Anything, Ryan?
Nothing.
Nothing. So with no public comments that have come in within the appointed time, We will then close the public hearing portion of this and turn it back to the commission for a motion. State your name before making the motion, please.
Okay, this is Ross. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I move that the planning commission forward a positive recommendation to the city council to amend portions of sections 22-8-8B, 22-8-8B3 of the Orem City Code and enacting sections 22-8-8B7, small b, 22-8-8B8, 22-8-8B9, and 22-8-8B10 to the Orem City Code pertaining to permitted modifications to buffered sidewalk requirements and adding additional design standards and utility enclosure standards within the State Street corridor area.
Thank you for the motion. Do we have a second?
This is Marisa. I'll second.
Thank you. So Mr. Spencer made the motion. Marisa, Mrs. Bentley made the second. We'll turn it now for a vote of the commission. Marisa,
Aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Camille,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Haysom, just in case. Okay. Ross
Aye.
and Mickey, aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. We'll send this now to the Planning Commission for their deliberations then. Mr. Clark.
Yes, just so you're aware, the Library Hall ribbon cutting will be on March 9th. We're
Ooh.
looking at noon. And the Fitness Center ribbon cutting will be on Saturday, March 20th. If you'd like to attend, it'll be a Saturday morning, bright and early, and people will be let into the facility right after to use it. It's looking like we can accommodate approximately 300 people with COVID restrictions in place.
Okay.
The facility has lots of room to spread out between machines, so don't be afraid to come and use the facility. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, we come now to the next item, which is the minutes and approval thereof. So I did not see any modifications that need to be made to the minutes. Does anybody in the commission have anything they would like to comment on concerning the minutes? All right. Then if there are no comments and we're good with the minutes, then I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes as written from our February 3rd, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. May I have a second, please?
This is Camille. I'll second it.
Okay, Camille is seconded. For the vote, Marisa,
Aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Camille,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
and Mickey, aye. So the minutes are approved. Then before we adjourn, just a moment, I'm hoping that all of you who are in the how would we say this appropriately, who are in that time of their life when they qualify to receive the vaccine a little bit earlier than the general public, that you will all do so.
Old as dirt is the word you're looking for.
Well, I was thinking Ancient of Days too, but that all of you, when you can, we certainly are looking forward to what many people have said is a quick overcoming of the pandemic, the development of the herd immunity, which they say would be about 60% of the population. And we look forward to, again, being able to meet in person at the appointed place with all of you at the city too. So with that in mind, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021, and we will ask for a motion to adjourn.
This is Marisa. So move.
Do we have a second, please?
This is Ross. I'll second that motion.
Great. And then the vote of the commission, Marisa,
Aye.
Carl,
Aye.
Camille,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
and Mickey, aye. So until March 3rd, be good, be safe, and we will see you there with all your smiling faces. Thank you. Thank
Mickey?
you, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah,
You
Jason,
can just come in tomorrow and sign the resolutions.
I'll be there in the morning. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks,
Aye.
everybody.
Thanks.